Fox News alert, it was a little less than 3.5 hours ago that a couple of buildings on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, East Harlem specifically, blew up. This is New York City's new mayor, Bill de Blasio, introducing some of the folks who will speak at this news conference about that explosion. We know at least 2 people have died. Let's listen to the mayor.
Affected buildings around the 2 that were destroyed. Very heavy impact on the surrounding buildings. A heavy fire has ensued as well. Fire is now up to the 5-alarm level of response, and FDNY is continuing its efforts to contain the fire, and then in the coming hours to finally put the fire out. There was no warning in advance. From the information we have now, I'd like to emphasize everything I'm telling you is based on preliminary information. This is the best information we have at this moment. It is by definition preliminary. But from what we know now, the only indication of danger came about 15 minutes earlier when a gas leak was reported to Con Edison. Con Ed dispatched a team immediately to respond. The explosion occurred before that team could arrive. As soon as the explosion was called in, FDNY responded literally within 2 minutes of the call for help. FDNY is now again in the process of putting out the fire. Con Ed is in the process of shutting down all gas mains going into this building. But that is a detailed and complicated process that requires digging up the ground and a lot of manual labor to turn off all the different supplies of gas to the building. This is a tragedy of the worst kind because there was no indication in time to save people. We know we've lost 2 people already. We know at this moment, preliminarily, that 18 are injured, different levels of injury. We also know that there will be a search through the rubble of the building as soon as the fire is put out, looking for those who are missing. There are a number of missing individuals. I emphasize that those who are missing could well be safe in another location and just not contacted yet or reachable yet. But there are a number of missing individuals, and there's going to be a thorough search to try and find or locate each individual. This is going to be an extended operation. This will take quite a bit of time to fully address this issue. To achieve that, we have on the scene 250 firefighters and dozens of pieces of equipment, including heavy equipment, necessary to deal with the rubble from the building. I want to say that once again we have been shown what our first responders are capable of doing under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. All of the agencies that responded, led by the FDNY, immediately secured the situation in the surrounding buildings, checked the surrounding buildings, made sure that everyone in those buildings was safe, made sure the fire was not spreading to other buildings. Extraordinary, fast, precise response by our first responders. I want to thank the police, OEM, everyone who's been a part of this operation already. We have a lot of people in this community right now deeply concerned. A lot of people who have been negatively affected in their buildings surrounding. A lot of people from the buildings, the 2 that collapsed, wondering where their loved ones are. Speaker Mark Viverito has been talking to a number of families. I've spoken to the pastor of the church that was one of the storefronts in these buildings. There's a tremendous amount of anxiety, but suffice it to say that every effort is being expended to locate each and every one of these individuals. Finally, for any relatives who are looking for information about their loved ones, special hotline will be set up shortly, but for now they can call 311. So for relatives, family members looking for information about loved ones who might have been in either of these buildings, they can call 311. Those calls can be taken in both English and Spanish. With that, let me bring forward Fire Commissioner Sal Cassano to give you more details of the situation and the response.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to reiterate a little bit what the mayor said, the call originally came in at 9:31, and we had our first unit on the scene at 9:33. They were faced with a very heavy fire condition. 2 buildings collapsed, debris covering the sidewalk, and a couple of vehicles in the street. So they quickly transmitted an alarm for a major collapse response. And we now have over 250 firefighters, dozens of pieces of equipment, dozens of pieces of special equipment with our Special Operations Command. We have backhoes on the scene, but we know we're going to need some cranes, which we have coming on the way. The plan right now is to extinguish the fire. We're doing surface removal at the present time. We have to clean the sidewalk of the debris and the brick to check to make sure that there was nobody on the sidewalk or the street. And then once the fire is under control and extinguished, we will start to do some surface removal, some debris removal. We have to be very careful. The building is in a very precarious position. We want to make sure that everybody that's in there as first responders is safe. It's been a great interagency response between OEM, police, fire, buildings, but it's going to be a long, extended operation.
That's Sal Cassano, the fire commissioner of the city of New York, speaking about this terrible building explosion and collapse that happened about 2.5 hours ago in East Harlem. At least 2 people known dead. As we get more information, we will continue to monitor that news conference. If there is breaking news to report, we'll bring it to you.